Because the people who are already there, they can tell you exactly why they're different. You don't know that yet. It's a journey to get there, right?
Welcome back to Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, where we help people explode into their lives through full impact mindfulness. And we're going to continue our conversation with our fascinating guest, Zeke Mercer.
In my life, that's how people get caught in their vices, in themselves, into other mess. It's boredom. And a lot of people, because I think we come from a chaotic world, we're born into chaos, I think, just truly last 100 or so years. I would say we were all been born into chaos. We were all children of chaos. But when we get boredom, that's when things, that's when you see what some people's true character is. It's not when everyone's like paying attention, when everyone's like, oh, you're good? Okay. And then that person returns to use. They have a gambling addiction. They have a shopping addiction. They are, for some reason, hanging out with people they should not be hanging around. Like that boredom, that peace, some people are so afraid of it. And I've seen how some people are afraid and what they do. I was like, you know what? When I get there, I'm not going to turn away from peace. I'm going to just hug it. Because I've seen what happens when you turn away or just say, oh, I'll get that later. Like, no, you won't.
At times I have the opportunity to speak at rehab, Zeke, and the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try is essential to any recovery. But they preach people, places, and things as triggers, and that's certainly true. Zeke, the biggest trigger I ever found to relapse into anything, not just necessarily drugs or alcohol, is boredom.
It's boredom or stress. Boredom and stress can do you in.
So how have you dealt with that?
Boredom? Well, I understand that I said that I didn't have a lot of peace in my life, but I did have a lot of boredom in my life. There was a lot of sitting with oneself. So what happened to me when I got older to do something outside of school, outside of just coming home, I was able to, it could have been like, drugs or, racing cars, but it was professional wrestling. In the grand scheme of things, I had people tell me, well, it's dangerous, you can get hurt, you do this. And I say, dude, you can get hurt playing golf. People have thrown with tear cuffs out of their whole arm, swinging a driver. Like, like what are you talking about? You can get hurt or die or get sick, just like doing anything. You stay at home too long, you get depressed and you die. You go out too long, you get depressed and you die. Like, you just, everything that I'm doing, that I could be doing, professional wrestling kept me busy and out of trouble, and that's how I handle boredom. I work, Monday through Friday. And then, go into a phone booth, change, and I'm a wrestling superstar, whatever, wherever you want to say.
Yeah.
So like, I have two different lives, and then with each with those lives, different responsibilities. Personal life, family, boyfriend, friends, helping people move, figuring out what you're about to do in life, and then wrestling, your marketing, your place you're about to go into, place you try and go to, handling travel, like. I'm like, I have so much to do that, like, man was like, do you have any time for anything else, like dangerous or stupid? I said, not really. Let me know you want to do something safely. Like, I got things to do. Like, I can't go out and like get super plastered, drunk, because I have a show to go to tomorrow, or I have work tomorrow morning. I can't afford to have a day where I'm just like, yeah, man, I can't, kind of like that.
Well, that's making a wise mind choice, and sometimes wise mind choices can be hard, difficult, and painful, Zeke.
Oh, for sure. I think I've probably lost a good amount of friends over just not, especially in college, which everyone, kids' first taste of freedom, they go, absolutely ape wild.
Math.
But me, I didn't do that. Like, cause everyone's like, why not? It's like, cause I quote unquote party with a bunch of grown adults who have children, mortgages, and jobs in the morning. I'll be done partying by 11:30, because by 11:30 we gotta go home. We gotta get home by midnight, dude. Like, it's midnight. I want to go home. So like yeah, I've been around adults on my since I was like 17, 18. So like, that stopped me from being like absolutely wild, because I wasn't like hanging out with someone my age, which can be like, someone can say like, well, that means you're not like socialized by people your age. Like, but it made me smarter. Because for every kid who wants to go out and get like ditzy drunk, I'm the guy. I'm like, I'm gonna be a DD. How about that? I'll keep a track of everyone's stuff. You know, let's not get too crazy. Or how about we do this? Because the city's like, it's Saturday night, it's 10 o'clock. Maybe we shouldn't go down to East Carson. Like, you know, like maybe
Probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea. Like, you know, like there's someone, because I've been around mature people. I've just been able to like make mature decisions. I never had a moment where I was like making truly young teenager decisions. That's been a couple of times, but like immediately I had to figure out how to be an adult. So I realized what I was doing, self-sabotage in a way. Because, you know, every immature thought leads to some stupid problem you got to fix 6 months down the road. So I was like, you know what? How about I just stop doing that? How about I just stop trying to be ignorant and young? I just be like, you could be young, but let's be smart about this after a while.
You can make wise mind choices and begin to have choices in your life if you understand it and are willing to accept the consequences.
Yeah. If you want to do those things, like, you know.
What do you say? What do you say when people find out you're a professional wrestler and they think it's a joke?
I mean, they watch Marvel, don't they? They watch They love Kim K. You love Hunger Games. What's the joke?
Well, I don't think they've ever.
You know what I mean? Like I tell people, like, what's the joke? Like Robert Downey Jr. can never do what I do, and I mean that seriously.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like Chris Evans can never do what I do. I've never seen Chris Evans do what I do. Yeah, he was Captain America, and I'm a professional wrestler. I don't get cut. I don't get take two. I get one chance. I've never seen any of those people do. Singers or musicians and artists, people do a stage, different people. They can do what I do in a sense, but okay.
I don't think people realize or appreciate the technical skill that's involved in what goes on
and what we do,
and that it's a tough sport, and you do get banged up, and you have to be in fantastic condition to deal with that.
Like, it's not even like in condition, because when everyone says, everyone assumes physical. I was like, no, they're in a mental condition. Because what will hurt, like, because I've been told things after matches that will hurt anyone's feelings. Like, completely just could, like, you know, if you got that from your boss on a performance review, you'd be like, I don't think I'm gonna work here any longer. Like, you know, you think you're gonna get fired. You know, there's a difference to, like, you know, you think you're having a good match and someone's like, dude, you messed up here. They have a list, you know, and you gotta be like, okay, and like continue your day. You know, being your character, selling your merch, you know, shaking everyone's hands. You know, you could get told the worst thing you could have told that match you thought was awesome sucked. And then everyone up here thought so. You could have been told that, but you still gotta like behave. You know, be professional. Don't lash out. Because some people can't handle that. Some people can do the physical stuff all day, every day. But what washes people out of the business is their professionalism, is their mental state. Some people can't handle that. You know, that's what keeps me here. That discipline. I've been told a lot of things in martial arts that make someone like hurt my feelings. You're not gonna hurt my feelings in professional wrestling. I promise you. Like maybe at one point when I was young, but like, nah, not now. I know what I can really do here. You know, I'm not saying professional wrestling is not like real or anything, but like I've done combat sports. I know what it really is. You're not gonna hurt my feelings here. You know.
So what that tells me is that you have developed enough self-confidence and self-esteem.
Oh yeah.
That the rest of those things they don't bother you at all.
Yeah, but it took a while. Anyone would tell you that it took a while to get that way, and it, but having like a life as like I did in the past, like self-confidence doesn't come easy. Like, yeah, you're trying to do something. Like I'm trying to kick people and hold submissions and do all this stuff, tactical training, all that stuff. But it doesn't mean you have confidence in doing it. Like anyone can technically learn how to shoot a gun. Doesn't mean you have confidence in shooting a gun or shooting an arrow, whatever. Like it takes confidence in those things. It's a bold thing to do. And wrestling, because it inadvertently taught me to care about myself. You know, I always thought I cared about myself, but like I learned through wrestling that I didn't care about myself enough. Because in wrestling, you gotta learn to promote yourself, stay healthy, you know, hype yourself up, talk good about yourself, because that's how you promote yourself. Getting in those habits, you want to like make it far, bleeds into life, and before you know it, I'm like, I'm way more confident about what I can do, how I look, how I feel about myself, than thing as before. Like when I learned, like what I think when I finally had my like, oh, I get this moment in wrestling, life kind of cleared. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to be perceived in life and wrestling. It's just kind of like, oh, this is what I was missing. That like self-evident love. Like you just need that. You need to care about yourself. Even if it's just as simple as making your bed every day or putting fresh clothes on. Like you need to care about yourself. And that will build upon that.
So, what you're telling our listeners is that your participation in wrestling translated much into your personal life.
Well, yeah, it was. It's kind of hard not to when you was a college kid and like you're going to classes Monday through Friday. Then, like I said, you go into a telephone booth and now you're a wrestler, and like it bleeds. Like I had teachers think that I was insane because I was a professional wrestler because I was like, oh yeah, I just got back from such and such state doing such and such, and like, and you're here on a Monday morning at 8:40 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, but I paid for this, and I'm going to go to class. I gotta pass this class. I'm here for a reason, and like, it's just it bled. Like before you know it, like it didn't matter if it was academia or wrestling or work. Like everything was just like kind of working in harmony for a while. And a lot of people say, well, you're a lot more mature, like like every other 23 at the time, 24-year-old. It's like, yeah, because I'm not like going buck wild. I've had freedom. But I've also was around people who had freedom also because they were adults. And it taught me how, by leading by example most of the way, how to handle this.
Before we started the podcast today, I was asking you, what would you, if aliens came down and they encountered you and you had to give them a representation of what you were, I think right now I would say focused and determined.
Really? Focus?
With you.
I don't think I think the focus is on, when people say focus and determined, they usually mean like goals. Usually when they say it to me, that's the usual criticism he's got. You're like, you're not determined, you're not focused. And I was like, oh, I'm focused. It's just not what you want. A lot of people see my skill or my potential, like, oh, you could be going here, you could be doing this. A lot of people point to me and say you could be doing a lot of things. But no one ever said to me or asked me what I want to do. And was like, you can go here. I can see you doing this. I can, you can do here. But like, no one said to me, no one just sat down and said, what do you want to do? And when I usually tell people what I do, it's like, well, that's stupid. I don't want it. Like, you're not focused. You don't think this is real. I'm like, dude, you've been telling me what your fantasy was for 4 minutes. I can't spell what I want to do the next 4 minutes. It's just, I'm focused on stability. I don't need to be number one on the pro wrestling magazine to be happy in wrestling. If I get on that list, awesome. I'll take a picture of it and show it to my grandfather, my grandmother, my dad, and a couple of my friends and say, look what this cool thing I was able to do. And I'll put that on my wall somewhere on my phone and kind of forget about it. Happens every list I'm on. Every list I'm on something new. I was like, oh, look what I did. They're like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, all right, cool. Like some people are like, oh yeah, man, I work hard to go on that list. I was doing this. And I was like, to me, I'm just like, not that I'm not appreciative of the list, but I just have, my focus is not trying to be the best. I'm not Ash Ketchum. I'm not trying to be the best. I'm just kind of like, I'm here. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. I know what my limits are. And I've seen what it takes to kind of be at the top or go towards the top of this industry, at least at the time. And I didn't want to, one, sacrifice my personal life that I never got a chance to build when I was younger. And two, I didn't want to sacrifice some morals to get to the top.
I like that. I like what you just said.
I was able, because every person who comes from a bad background, we have a uncanny level of to be skeptics. We can look at something that's like awesome and be like, this kind of sucks. This looks off. I'm always like that to this day. Everything I still skeptical about. Everything is something I enjoy. I will still be skeptical about it. Healthy enough. Not like I'm trying to like bog everyone down, but kind of like we should keep an eye on this. And what wrestling showed me is like, yes, there is money, there is fame, there is some cool things that you can do if you just take the time and put all your effort into professional wrestling. But at the same time, because of things like speaking out, because of things of me witnessing them and just seeing how the landscape is last like 5 years, I feel like wrestling has had this like wave of just exposing the bad, dark side of the ring, all this stuff. And I've seen it personally. And I just sitting there, I was like, you know what? Some of these people sacrifice so much to get to the top, and they're sitting in the locker room crying.
Ah,
You know what I mean? You never like you would think some wrestling takes so much out of you that if you're willing to sacrifice everything, it still won't give you what you want. It will break. It has broken many people, and realizing that, seeing that on my journey, and like just realize what you gotta do to get even just an inch farther, a foothold farther, a step farther. I was like, it's not worth it. Because you know what? I'm going to go home tonight and think tonight was awesome. There is someone in this locker room that's going to go home and cry because it wasn't what they need to be. You know what I mean? It didn't lead to a big door opening, or for whatever reason, because it didn't. You know, wrestling is not a meritocracy. And unfortunately, a lot of people think it still is. It's show business. We keep lying and saying that it's a meritocracy. It's not. You just got to pay attention. Just watch how people talk to each other. Watch how hands are shaken. It's not. It's a business, and business means you got to know people. Business means you got to have things in play. It's not going to be because you're the best wrestler in the locker room. That's not what's going to get you out of the locker room or to the next locker room. It's not. And when a lot of people realize that, they come to peace with it. I think there's a lot of people like me who's like, you know what? That's fine. And a lot of people who don't, they're the ones who beat themselves up. They're the ones who you see, they freaking hate wrestling. Because I get it. I would love for my work to be reflected in where I am. But that's just another work that wrestlers been working other wrestlers for years with. That's just another gimmick. It's not the work. It can be about the work effort, like, you know, how much you put in. But it ain't that. And a lot of people don't realize that. And it breaks them because they're constantly pushing themselves against that wall, constantly trying to do this, do that, run themselves dry. And I'll be like, dude, they didn't pick you. And that's what it is. Like, they didn't pick you. You can be the best kill in the blacktop. You can still be picked last for a dodgeball.
That's
for kickball. It doesn't matter. There's politics because he knows her and she knows him and she's best friend. That's how it works. That's wrestling.
Well, it's about expectations. When we set our unrealistic expectations, we're really doomed for disappointment.
And it kills the joy for what you do. You know? And I think wrestling is not a profession where you should be trying to make the most money. I think if that is your goal, I think you should be in another branch of show business. I think professional wrestling has a true history rooted in local theater and using it to prop up local acts. You could be an international national act for sure, but don't forget where you came from. You travel across the East Coast, but you know, at one point some wrestlers were just a dirt poor kid in North Carolina. You know, you gotta understand where you came up from. It's not. It was never meant to be, I'm gonna get into wrestling, I'm gonna make millions of dollars, I'm gonna retire. You're not gonna understand wrestling at all. If your thing is money in this business, you should just pop out, learn a TikTok dance, learn how to voice act, like do something else, because like you're putting this is a business of passion. This is a business to make money. You can make a little money. You can get some spending money here and there. You could have a very good chance of making it big and, you know, WrestleMania 5 times over. But in terms of J. Cole, there's only 12 slots in the business. There's only certain many spots that are open. How do you know that you're going to get there? Well, I'm determined. Okay, you and 50,000 other wrestlers. What makes you different? Well, I'm different. How? Because the people who are already there, they can tell you exactly why they're different. You don't know that yet. It's a journey to get there, right? And I was like, and you're trying to bust your ass through this wall, do all this, and that. Like, dude, I'm telling you, half of the people who made it didn't do half the things you did. There's some people like that.
I think you're explaining the wrestling life very eloquently.
Yeah,
it's well spoken.
But it's also, wrestling is also a metaphor for life in general.
Continue to watch our next podcast of Fishing Without Bait, where we will continue our conversation with Zeke Mercer. And we have a free prescription where you can fill it anywhere. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. If we're all not God's children, none of us are. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste, my friends.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.